still, small voice that is sitting inside of you is always speaking. The trick is, and it's really not a trick, it's more of a technique, is to learn how to hear it and master it. It's an opportunity that has come to me over and over again. And I gotta be honest, sometimes I'm not that great at listening to it. And yet I'm getting better. I remember 30 years ago, I was very young. I was on a bus in New York City, and there were two elderly women sitting behind me. The truth is, they probably were my age now, but I thought 30 years ago that they were older. One was talking about cats and how much she loved cats and all the volunteer work that she did in order to preserve the cats that were on this planet. And she went on and on about her volunteer work and how much she loved cats. When she finished, the other woman looked at her and said, I can't stand cats. If I had to take care of cats for the rest of my life, I'd be in big trouble because it wouldn't happen. Okay. And the first woman said, thank goodness. Because if you were one of the only people who took care of cats, there would be nobody here to take care of dogs. And we all need to find the passion inside of us so that everything on this planet gets taken care of. Interpretation, don't follow what other people are doing. Listen to the small voice inside of you that tells you what your purpose and mission is. I carried that story a long time inside of me, and it made a lot of sense, and I followed it. 20 years ago, for the second time, I became morbidly obese. And then I went to Weight Watchers and I lost 70 pounds. And I knew what my mission in life was. It was to work with women who had eating disorders just like I did. I spent 5 years working for MasterCard, for Weight Watchers. And during that time, I never talked about food. They called me the feelings leader. Because I talked about why you went to food. What you did to push down your feelings. What I couldn't do is talk about my own experience with eating disorders, because it was not part of the structure of Weight Watchers. And so I really looked forward to the day when I could really tell my whole story. And that was 6 years ago. I left Weight Watchers, and I was going to start my own coaching practice. Based on my theory that as you grow on the inside, you shrink on the outside. Love that line. Love that line. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, depending on how you view spirit, didn't go as planned. I let go of all my support systems. My internal voice for positive shut down, and all my fears started coming up. And I made all kinds of choices that did not serve my purpose and my voice. And every time it came up, I pushed it away. Well, I'll go back and tell you in a moment what happened during the last 6 years. But I want to focus on what happened last Saturday. I signed up for a Writing from Your Soul workshop. It was being given by Hay House in Fort Lauderdale last weekend. And the speakers were Ree Tracy, who is the president and CEO of Hay House, and Wayne Dyer. And they were going to teach me how to write a book. Well, be careful what you ask for, because that's not exactly what happened. It was 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. I would say that 85 to 90% of the time was Wayne Dyer sitting on the stage, lecturing, teaching, inspiring. He didn't talk about how to write a book. He didn't talk about how to go find an agent. He didn't talk about winning the contest. In fact, he looked at us all and said, the last thing that you people need to worry about is winning the contest. It's about connecting to your soul and your desire. And as I sat there the first half of the day, I realized two things. One was my burning desire is not to write. My burning desire is to stand on a stage and speak. The second was that my burning desire was not being followed through. My mission, my purpose, to help women who struggle with food the way that I do. But I pushed that aside again. Sunday afternoon, they actually did talk about how to find an agent, how to write a book proposal, and how to write from your soul, and how important just writing and reading is. And they gave us a writing assignment towards the end. 5 minutes. I used to be, and now I am. So I sat down and I started to write. I used to be a victim. I used to let people walk all over me. Now I am spiritual. I have found God. I know that God lives inside of me. And as I'm writing this, I'm saying, this does not feel right. This does not feel like me. This is BS. It's true, but it's not my passion. And when the event closed and I got in my car to leave, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I know what I needed to write. I used to be thin. I used to be happy. I used to love myself. And now I am somebody who's lost. And yet, I'm found. Think about that. Getting lost for the last 6 years was the greatest gift that ever happened to me, if I'm willing to look and uncover it. And that's the message for all of you. We all get stuck. We all start to listen to what other people tell us. When I left Weight Watchers, what did I hear? You really need to go to school and learn about food and nutrition, because that'll take your practice to the next level. You really have to start following what everybody else is doing. You can't let your own opinions about food and products interfere with getting your message out to the masses. You know, there's other people out there who have much larger platforms than you do, Emily, and they can do this so much better. I'm going to have to wait a year because I think I signed a non-compete clause with Weight Watchers, so I can't talk about this stuff anyway. I let all my blocks come rattling. And I was willing for a very long time to deny my purpose so that other people could shine. Steve Jobs said, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of other people's opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and your intuition." Wasn't doing that. Now what's interesting is that when you follow your heart and your intuition, it's what Wayne Dyer and Mary Morrissey and Bob Proctor and so many other people, including Emile Gavreau, talk about living in alignment with spirit. And when you live in alignment with spirit, all kinds of amazing things open up for you. The question is, how do you get to that space of living in alignment? Number one is you have to be really creative and courageous. You have to be willing to look at what you're not doing. You have to be willing to look at your blocks and say, what am I really thinking? The thing is, you all think that you got to do it on your own. And that's not the case. In fact, it's pretty impossible to do it on your own. Because your own voice keeps coming up in your head. That is why you hire a coach, or form mastermind groups, or just talk to a friend. It's about getting perspective from someone else without letting go of your dream. Because we tend to belittle ourselves and look at other people. Here's the other thing. We tend to think that we are alone. And when we discover that someone else has the same dream we do, one of two things happen. We either decide, like I did for a long time, that it was time to restrict and pull in because you can do it so much better than I can. Who am I to go out and do it? When the truth is, it's about abundance. I got incredible validation that what I believed in and what I've created has a place on this planet. Think abundantly. Think that there's opportunity. Know it and hold it in your heart. Because if somebody else can do it, so can you. If somebody else can set a record, you can match that record and break it. Explode it. Life is about abundance. And there's so many people in this world who are looking for your message. The third is you gotta walk your talk. I gotta tell you, do you know how hard it is to talk about people around losing weight? When I hate the way I look, it's not your opinion, it's how I felt. Really interesting. I got very sick last year. And most people, when they get sick, get very skinny. Well, I had an illness that put weight on me. Oh, thank you, universe. That's a great joke. Put weight on me. I started to hate myself. And because of that, I started to engage in behaviors I haven't engaged in 20 years. Which was shoving food in my mouth to silence the voices. That I'm not good enough. See? I knew it. If I give it enough time, it's going to explode. I'm not going to be successful. Talk about a self-fulfilling prophecy. An incredible thing happened yesterday. I moved back into alignment. I pulled out all my old materials that I had created around women and eating. Because there is a difference between what women do with food and what men do with food. And I, and the women that are in the same situation that I am, use food as a weapon of mass destruction. We do. It's not right, it's not wrong. And I think what happened was, for me, I started to observe all the shifts that were going on in our culture. You want to get healthy? Go on a juice fast. You want to get healthy? Eat raw. You want to lose weight? Eat macrobiotic. Everybody was contradicting each other, and everybody was focusing on food. Whether you're focusing on McDonald's or you're focusing on kale, if you don't deal with the feelings that are going on inside of you, nothing will change. I also knew that as I started practicing different food theories, my eating disorder started to kick back in. Because I was becoming obsessed again with what was going into my body, instead of loving my body. And I got clearer and clearer in the last week about this message. And then yesterday I got a Facebook message from someone who wanted to know about my weekend. She was like, I'm so jealous. I wanted to go hear Wayne Dyer. Can we talk and let me know what it was all about? And we spoke, and I told her about this. And a really interesting thing happened. someone who deals in the health and wellness industry, and herself is struggling right now. And she's had a lot of shame and embarrassment over this. Sounded really familiar. And the more we spoke, the more we realized that we can, right here and right now, take the step one that we need to take. So we're creating a group. It may just be the two of us at first. It may be others that come and join us. But we're starting a support group for women who got stuck again. Because it's not about getting stuck. It's about moving forward. It's not that things are going to happen to you. It's about what you choose to do when these things happen. And what I realized is that even though there are other people who are saying the same message that I am, that it has nothing to do with the food, the message isn't loud enough. And if I'm suffering, and the woman that I spoke to yesterday was suffering, we are not alone. It was validation that I must go out and spread my word. Because people need this. I need this because that's my purpose. And they need it because they're struggling. I always knew that. And how beautiful that in the most unexpected ways, that still small voice kept screaming. It was quiet, yet it was loud. And so I give you the opportunity to listen to that still small voice inside of you. Nothing in life is worth not following that voice. Because that is the voice of freedom, that is the voice of purpose, and that is the voice of pleasure. As Thoreau said, if a man does not keep pace with his companions, perhaps it is because he hears a different drummer. Let him step to the music he hears, however measured and far away. So keep listening. Keep listening. Because it is your responsibility to become the change. Not to be the change. That's not what Gandhi said. Gandhi really said, become